right, guys, I got a good one for you today. I think I'm pretty good at understanding the game and evaluating, but that's with my own eyes seeing things. At this stage, I'm like a blind man walking through what's going on and relying on people giving me information to kind of come up with where I should go and what's going on. There's some that I hold less credibility. Some I hold less credibility in certain areas. Some I hold high credibility in certain areas, and some I hold in high credibility. Al from 3 yards per carry, he's been doing this a long time. He knows the game really, really well, and I say that all sincerity. He's there watching with his eyes, and he decided in his wonderful nature to help out this little channel over here to come on and talk football. It was supposed to go a half an hour. I said, we're going to do a half an hour. He's like, that's good. We got a half an hour in. We got the one side of the ball. I'm like, well, next time we'll do the other side. He's like, no, I love talking football. Let's finish it. And it went on for a full hour, offense and defense. And there's a lot of good stuff. I'm going to cut it up into two pieces. This will be the offensive side of it. You will enjoy. No one's 100% perfect, but you learn a lot. I learn a lot every time I talk to him. And so I hope you enjoy. So without much further ado, check out Alf and his little sidekick, Monkey Man Curtis. And I hope you enjoy. All right, here we go. I got some class up in the joint. Really great guy, Alf, real knowledgeable guy is coming on, bringing some real knowledge. I operate at this stage with secondhand information, but this is a lucky dog who gets to see the action firsthand. Nobody's perfect in their evaluations. And I really, I question a lot of people's evaluations, it's my nature, but Alf, I have a tendency to really appreciate what he sees, and he does a really great job. So it's a pleasure to have you here, brother. I'm playing in the background. I'm going to let you do the talking because it's your eyes seeing what's going on. So, Alf, okay, here we are. We are starting to get to the meat of things. You have no pads, and then it gets up to pads, but then you're going against guys that and you're really not killing each other, and you got dotted players that you can't touch. Then you go to the scrimmage, and that brings it up a little bit higher, and then you go to the preseason, which is not week one or postseason. But we're getting really into the place where we can have some good evaluation. So I just want to go over the different position groups and things that I find curious, anything you want to bring up, and that will be it. So overall, what's your take? Are we on schedule, behind schedule? What do you see the Dolphins at right now?
Today I thought was a really good first step. We had those issues with the snapping. And I sit right next to Kyle Krabs all the way up in the bleachers. It's the best place to actually watch the practice. And you also get a nice little breeze. So those 93-degree days, you get a nice little breeze to your back, so you're fine.
That's awesome.
And he made a pretty good observation. We were watching all these bad snaps, and mind you, none of the bad snaps from Aaron Brewer to the Tua were in the shotgun. All of them were under center.
Mm-hmm.
So, he made a good point. Tua did have that hold in. The first time that he worked with Aaron Brewer, because remember, Aaron Brewer was nursing a leg injury in OTAs.
That's true, yeah.
The first time they actually worked together was that week and that day. So,
really? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So it's essentially just one day in, and that's when they were having all the issues. Today, they ran about 60 offensive plays, not a single issue in sight.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to be an issue. I heard today there's a little bit of issues with false starts. It's a little sloppiness, but they were blitzing, so you got to expect it.
Yeah, they had officials today, which was good to see. And this defense is going to be. I can't reveal exactly what kind of coverages they're in, or what kind of simulated pressures they run, or what kind of blitzes they run. They're really, really aggressive. They bring a lot of blitzes. This defense
that helps out so much. I like Fangio's defense for a lot of reasons, but I preferred the Flores and now the Weaver style. I like the aggressive style. It's important to have an offense to match it, but I'm really excited about that too. Okay, so I'm going to go through offense first, but no quarterback. We talk about the quarterback way too much. Obviously, he looked good today. His movement skills, he delivered some balls. Some of the big plays were after maybe a sack that should have happened, but we know he's the guy. He signed a big contract. So backup, we know it's going to be White and Skylar. But the receiving group is where I think there's a little bit of interest. Now, you signed Snead. What's your take on that? Is OBJ just slow delivery? Is it maybe a little bit longer than what they think? What was the whole Snead edition?
The good news on OBJ yesterday was that you could see him working on the opposite field, and he was working with no restriction. He was moving well.
Good.
But evidently, he's not ready to, for contact or to have pads on or to play or to practice. So they signed Willie Snead, and I spoke to him today, and I asked him, 2 years in the San Francisco system, should that help you to pick up the offense here? And he basically rattled off everything you would want to know as far as the system. He knows the landmarks. He knows he's a good blocker.
Lucky dog. You get to breeze. You get to talk to the players, and you get to see the live stuff. Alf is living the life. All right, keep going, brother.
So I don't think it's an indictment on anybody else, but I think it's an insurance policy against what they have going right now. Remember, they lost Taj Washington for the season, although he is eligible to come back. But
they ain't bringing him back.
You're not going to bring him back. You're not going to bring back a rookie inside the season when he had no training camp. Okay, so consider him gone for the year. Malik Washington, no matter how you slice it, is still a rookie. I'm not the biggest fan of Braxton Berrios. I didn't think he was all that great last year. Craycraft has had a great camp.
Yeah, I heard that. Yes, he's acing with catching, knowing the system, even blocking and everything. I don't see how they can get rid of him.
And you can count on Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and by the way, Jalen Waddle, today I made him the practice player of the day. It was tight. It was between him and Tua and possibly Storm Duck. And I know.
I like that, man. I sort of. I was gonna put you up a little bit in the in my podcast. That's something. I love that name. That is if we could scream out Storm Duck got into this, how awesome would that be? I loved seeing that from you, man. I was so excited.
Yeah, he was very, very good today. But the wide receiver core, it's not to say, and I saw that Omar Kelly said, they're obviously not happy. I don't think they will be ecstatic with what they have so far in the wide receiver core. Nobody's really emerged to grab, wide receiver 3.
Easy's not looking good though, huh? I mean, he's been injured. I mean, he's not looking good to make the roster.
Well, he got shut down today, and it's unclear why he was shut down because he was participating the day before. We shall know more by tomorrow. There's some speculation that maybe he's involved in possibly a trade or something.
But I like that extra ammo.
but being shut down is not a good sign for him.
No.
But
do you think we're going to keep sick? Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going.
You would have liked somebody to emerge and start, taking over that spot. I thought that Malik Washington would have done so by now.
He had some drops today, I heard.
Yeah, he's slow developing, but he's no.
You got to expect that. Yeah, you got to expect. He's sticking. They're going to keep him. These guys, receivers take some time, so I don't know. So, do you think they're going to keep 6 or 5 receivers?
Oh, 6. They're going to keep 6. I'm pretty certain they're going to keep 6. Special teams is going to dictate it as well. Remember, Malik Washington and Braxton Berrios both return kicks. That's kind of what has me a little suspicious of Braxton Berrios' chances to stay on. But, all of that is dependent on whether Odell Beckham is coming back soon or not.
Yeah.
Because
remember, so you think Berrios is going to make it because of special teams?
Yeah, I think special teams is important for this team, and that's one of the reasons he would be on this team.
All right, so if they're going to keep 3 QBs, they're going to keep 6 receivers. You think they're going to keep 4 or 3 tight ends?
I think that's the one that's tight. I think that in that case, one guy has definitely emerged, and that's Julian Hill.
Yeah.
Last
what
year,
about my man Tanakana?
Well, he's a good athlete, but the problem with Tanner or Connor Tanner, and now you got me confused on how to say his name, is he'll look great in practice, and he's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
He always has this knack for finding injuries and then, finding himself onto the practice squad because they're going to give him one more chance.
They love him, man. It's like their attacks is serious.
And if we're going to handicap the whole group, Forston has dropped way too many
passes.
In my
Every
opinion.
day I hear him dropping stuff.
We know Durham Smythe and Jonnu Smith are
Done,
locks.
yeah.
So
So
the
it would be
third guy
Hill
is
and then
yeah,
TCCT.
the third guy has to be Julian Hill, who has actually emerged. And today he caught a 34-yard seam pass for a touchdown from Tua. So he's actually making plays on the offensive end as well as being a really good blocker.
So you told me that you played fullback, and so that means I know you know blocking anyway, but to me, the Hills blocking is the biggest thing. It was sometimes good and sometimes ugly last year. How is that looking? That's a critical piece of the puzzle for me.
Well, you can always count on the guy that's going to be physical by default. And Julian Hill, he may not find the landmark or he may not be in position, but he's going to try. He's going to be physical.
That's half the battle.
He's going to bring a level of physicality, which is necessary. So I'm actually very optimistic with Julian Hill.
Good. Yeah, he's a nice kid and he's huge. If he could pull it all together, that would be a special little find.
Yeah, because this offense was really good last year. They were number 1 overall. They had 61 touchdowns to lead the league. But this offense will really take that next step once you could get deeper into the playbook. And you don't have to stay in 11 personnel or 21 personnel. You can start digging into 12 personnel, 22 personnel. Yeah. And if you notice, that's what San Francisco has done to great success. They have a very diverse.
But Kittle and Ellicott are amazing blockers.
Yes.
I mean, Kittle's amazing. The other guy's pretty good. I can't remember his name. But that's the thing.
If you
look at us, though, we were like unbelievable, from 20, R20 to about the 45 the opponent. But once we started hitting 45, there was that wall because you got the condensed depth. I think if you can run 12 personnel and you got a tight end who can block and catch, like I think Jonnu is, he's a real threat. That will help us a ton, among all things, penalties and things like this. So that's good news. Good news. Running backs, obviously, Mostert, Achane, Wilson. Who's the rest of the guys? I don't think
Jalen Wright, Savannah.
Yeah, Jalen Wright. Yes, the rookie. So that would be the 4. Think Wilson's sticking then, and the rest of the guys are going to be cut to practice squad.
Well, Jeff Wilson got an adjustment to his contract that guaranteed him a little bit more money this year.
Yeah, it's like 1 point something if they cut him.
He's well liked on the team. He's a guy that you can count on a pinch. They saw what happened to this team last year when they started taking injuries at running back, and they were all of a sudden thin. Jalen Wright is a guy that they obviously like.
Yeah, of course they spent big time.
And he has all the tools that you want. And
yeah,
he could run patterns. He's fast. He could get outside on the outside zone. He has some physicality inside. So
Brooks and Ahmed are going to be released and hopefully brought back to practice squad.
Yeah, I think Brooks is. Remember, they could protect some guys on the practice squad. I think Brooks is a guy that you're going to want to protect on the practice squad.
Yeah, he's got potential. He does. He definitely has. I mean, my problem a little bit is his skill set with our O-line, but I don't want to dig into that. But I do want to dig into the O-line now. So we got 3, 4, 4. It's 11, 17. So that's 17 guys we got so far. I don't know how to say this. 3 quarterbacks, that would count to your roster. 6 receivers, that'd be 9. 4 running backs, that's 13. And then you're going to keep we'll say 3 tight ends. So that's 16. And you figure you're going to keep 6 on offense or 26 on offense, right?
Yeah. I think that's what they kept last year.
So. Yeah. So that means you get 1 more tight end in there and you'd probably keep, I think, 9 offensive linemen, right?
Don't forget Alec Ingold. He counts. He's among
That's right. That's right. So that would be the 3rd. So then you're going to keep 9 offensive linemen.
Yes.
I like this. I saw you did something great on. If you guys aren't subscribed, I'm learning the deal. I hung out with Dougley Do-Wrong, and I've been watching you, so now I know. If you haven't subscribed to 3 yards per carry, it's $3 a month. I've been listening to it. I got to subscribe, but there's a whole Reddit thing I got to figure out or something.
No, that's the OnlyFins. That's the Discord.
OnlyFins. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. I was listening to your podcast, and you were going over Paul, and it was really interesting because you did it yesterday, the day before. And then Butch Barry had that great, very straightforward and honest evaluation of Paul today about what he needs to have a successful preseason. And so I really thought that you had a good observation because that came out before Butch Barry did his thing. And I thought it paired really well. I think it's my evaluation too. But after what Barry said today about just getting the techniques, knowing what you got to do here and what you got to do there, not really about production. And your really good evaluations, you and the crew. What do you think is going on with Paul? Because he's such a big piece of the puzzle, and he's very liked from Dolphins fans.
Yeah, you would. I think that in a perfect world, you don't take too many injuries. Teron Armstead is healthy for at least 14, 15 games.
Yeah.
And Kendall Lamb is the guy that you count on as your backup.
Yep.
And you could always play, Keon Smith, who has fans in the building, but I think you would ideally want to redshirt Patrick Paul this year to get him completely squared away for next season when he's likely to take over that spot. But I think, you've so far, and I think that these preseason games are going to be really important because, you're going to get to actually get a longer look at him in actual game action. He's going
to have to stick no matter what on the 53. You're not going to cut him and
Yeah, but he's going to be a guy that you might want to stash.
Yeah. In a back, and, you might have to bring him in if something, like usually happens to the Dolphins, but he'd be one of the 9. So you'd have 8 more, 3 more with your tackles. That's 4 tackles total. I don't think you're going to keep Keon Smith. I heard every time I hear about him, he gets beat. Nice guy. I just don't think he's got enough junk in the trunk. He doesn't seem like stout enough for me. Am I wrong?
Yeah, he has real problems with Chop Robinson, but that's kind of what makes me optimistic about Patrick Paul, the one guy who's had, pretty consistent success, although he's gotten beat. And I explained this before, offensive tackle is the only position where you can't hit 750. If you hit 750, you're pretty terrible.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You got 98% efficiency rating is the bare minimum for a quality tackle.
Yeah, you got to hit 980, okay, to be an effective tackle. But he's had his good moments against Chop Robinson. He's made Chop Robinson disappear for long stretches, But Chop Robinson's had success against everybody on the roster, except Teron, because Teron doesn't practice.
Yeah, he doesn't need to. He's the man. That's my man. That guy doesn't need the practice. He's a superstar, dude. That guy's great, man. It's unbelievable when you think about the amount of injuries that he's gone through and the limited time he's had and how well he's performed. It's not up to his usual standards, but it's still amazing. I love Teron. I mean, he's one of the guys I would like to hang out with him. He's such a good leader. He's paying me to do a little promo for him right here. Anyway, so you got 4 out, 5 left. You got assigned to this offensive line. I don't think Keon Smith makes it. Obviously Brewer, so that's 5. So that's 4 more. You got Eichenberg. You got Driscoll. You got Wynn. You got Jones. I heard Jones is having a great camp.
Yes, he is. And he did some work on his body. You could tell he's a little slimmer, and he lose any of his functional strength. You could still see that.
The only thing with him is if you notice he's got knock knees a little bit, his movement skills, but if he drops the weight and he stays lean, that might really help him out.
Yeah, he has worked on his body. He's helped himself out in that regard.
He's a good kid, man. I like him.
Driscoll's being cross-trained pretty much everywhere.
He's that swing guy.
Yeah, he's learning the ropes. And, Eichenberg is barely holding on. Had a good day yesterday.
I heard Butch Barry came out and gave him the chest bump.
Yeah, Butch Barry is the one who gets on him the most. Okay, but I still wouldn't put it past them to get out in the trade market. There's quite a few guys, like the dream scenario is, although I don't know how they're going to pay him, but James Daniels, you can't draw up a better fit for this offense than the guard for the Pittsburgh Steelers, James Daniels, who they are not going to pay. But then that also begs the question, do you trade for him for 1 year? And then what are you doing at the end of the season if he has a great season, especially in a system that's going to really showcase his talents? Then he's going to ask for a pile of money and you're not going to give it to him again,
I know. That's the thing, though, man. I know that Chris Grier I got a different philosophy, but he's the professional. I'm the monkey. And he's got his philosophy. But we got to do something to get young talent on this offense line. I'm not certain about Brewer. There could be. He could work really well. I hated seeing Hunt go. Teron's getting old. You got a hopeful role in Paul. I think that especially with Tua, the way he operates, you protect him inside in that pocket between the guards and the center. And it's going to really help him. I don't think they're going to trade him because you got Eichenberg who's making $4 million. So if you made that trade, you got to cut if he's going to be a backup, why are you paying him $4 million?
No, that would be I think that's what they would do. If you made a trade for somebody like James Daniels, then
You think
obviously
there's a possibility?
well, it looks like the Steelers are not paying him. And why would you just hold on to a guy that's making $8 million a year that you don't even want to play because he doesn't fit your system? While he would be a perfect fit in ours and possibly a Pro Bowler in Miami.
That would be sweet. That would be that everything, me. I'm like, I'm basically, hit repeat on that. But my concern is the limiting factor is this O-line. If that we could get an offensive line that's really an asset, that would be amazing. I'm going to be praying for that one. So what is Win? Win is now still out with this quad thing. You got to come back. You got to get your reps. And then you got to get your body beat up a little bit so you don't get hurt come the regular season. And he's always hurt anyway. How far are we away from him getting stashed and not being the starting left guard?
Well, they signed him to play. We talked to Butch Barry today and asked him precisely about that. And he said, look, I don't want to commit to any timelines, but we're expecting him back. He will be a participant in training camp and in the preseason. So
I didn't hear that part.
Him back. Yeah, they're expecting him. They're expecting him back. The thing is, when, because at this point, I don't even see him working on the field. While you see other guys, you even see guys like Odell Beckham working on the field. You don't see him. And
that's weird.
Mike McDaniel has assured us he's in the building. He's very much alive, but we don't see him. We don't see him working, so we can't assess where he's at. As the games begin, they start having more practices indoors.
Yeah.
And maybe if the weather gets worse. So, I'll walk past the weight room to see maybe he's in there working. But we haven't seen him so far. And, it's not a good sign. I'll start being concerned once the first joint practices come and go. And that's early next week. And then the first preseason game goes. Because then the clock is ticking on whether he's going to help you at all in the first half of the season.
Yeah, so I mean, if you run it out like that, Win starting left guard, and if you look at the practices today, you should be starting right guard Jones unless we do a trade.
Yes.
So we should not see Mr. Eichenberg, who's a nice guy. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't like what he does for the team. I don't like how he helps this team out. He should not be starting at right guard because I just feel like they're gonna start him. I feel, and I'm not saying I'm right. This is just my thing. The reason, not the sole reason, but part of the reason why they're trying to get Driscoll in and get so many snaps, I think, is to get him ready. But in case, if Eichenberg's starting at right guard and Brewer goes down, you don't want to do a double switch. So I think in my mind, they're thinking, all right, Eichenberg is going to be the starting right guard. We got to get a backup center in here. I know it's for a third, just in case one guy goes down, but it seems like they're really, really focusing on a little bit more than being the emergency backup, because you can get a lot of those snaps as you go into the season if Eichenberg's considered the backup center week one. So that's just my take. I don't want to get too much into it because it's just gut, and not gospel. Brewer. What's your take on Brewer? I see some definitely strong assets. Look, we were supposed to do 30 minutes, man. You're such a pleasure. We're at 21 already. We're only going to do the offense today. I don't want to drag you out too much because you might not come back.
No, I got time. You want to talk football? I got time.
Alf, I really do appreciate it, man. I think it was Armando. No, not Armando Seguero. Who's the guy? Oh, I can always forget his name. He's the funny guy that covers the Dolphins. Lebitard. And he did a great thing on ESPN, how sports journalism is descending. We've talked about this. You're a fan a little bit, and, you get out there in the Twitterverse, which forces you to kind of lose some professionalism at times. But you're exactly the way I want my sports coverage to be. You put the work in, and I'm not saying that because you show up here, because I got a big mouth. When we first met, you would say something. I'm like, I say what I believe. But what you do on your channel, guys like Krabs, Dudley Durong's another guy I'm seeing a lot of good stuff out of. It's real journalism. You're trying to be honest. You're trying to do it the right way. Study the game and open it up like an onion so that the viewers can see that and appreciate the game more than just the cheerleader aspect. And so I really do enjoy our time. And I think that anybody who hasn't subscribed and watches Alf on 3 yards per carry and only Fins $3 a month. They should be doing it because or else they're foolish. I got to do the OnlyFans thing too, so I can harass you on the little Discord thing. So you do it the right way, brother. I appreciate that. So I'm not going to bloviate too much more, but I do appreciate that. So tell me about Brewer, because that to me is a big swing. Connor, he went to the Seahawks, passed his physical. The money didn't match. He went to a couple other teams, but that's saying a lot. To me, there's two tracks. Connor, how he performs and how he does, and Brewer. That's going to be a big swing on what we do here. So what's your take on Brewer so far?
Yeah, first of all, let me clear one thing up on Connor Williams, because I've had a lot of fans reach out to me. Hey, he passed the physical. Passing a physical in the NFL does not mean you're ready to play. It just means that you're alive.
Yeah.
Okay? All right.
But you figure maybe like week 6 or something like that. It's got to be somewhat close, no?
It's somewhere beyond that, because last I heard of Connor Williams, the thinking was that he might not have even played this season. So, and that's when Miami pivoted and went after Aaron Brewer. They decided, look, we can't be waiting on this, and we're just gonna, especially the numbers that he was talking, right? Like he wanted to be paid as one of the best 5 centers in football, which he is, by the way. When he
healthy. Except for the snapping aspect.
Yeah. So they get Aaron Brewer in tow, and one thing you can say about Aaron Brewer is, man, he's noticeable as far as a center that's going to make the highlight reel. He had 2 days ago one of the better blocks I've seen a center make out here in a Dolphin practice in a very long time to open up and spring Devon Achane.
And that was with him and Cotton, I think, or was it, I think it was. I read that in the little bleeps. I heard,
Cotton hit the cross block, and Aaron Brewer leaked out, and the last man to pick up was Javon Holland, and he managed to find a safety.
That's his strength.
About 12 yards from the line of scrimmage to spring Achane for a 17-yard touchdown. And it was like you can notice it. Like you see him, and all of a sudden you see 55 running in space with number 8. And those are things you don't forget.
It's so hard to do. I mean, he's kind of like quote unquote smallish, but the guy's jacked. But the movement skills are really, I mean, it's different. It's different.
He's very dense, and that's a good word to use.
He looks like a little bodybuilder, a power lifter.
Yeah, because he's a guy that you would look at, and it hits you right away. You're like, this is an offensive center in the NFL. Like he looks like a linebacker. Yeah. Right? Like he looks like a big linebacker, but a linebacker nonetheless.
Yeah.
But he's dense. When you look at him, there's a certain thickness to him. Like you could tell he's not small-ish.
He's 6'1", like 280 or something. It's hard to get 6'1", 280 and not have ugly weight. So that's a lot of good principles.
He says that he tries to hold weight as close to 290 as possible for most of the season.
That's tough to do. That's good.
But he's noticeable. The key is going to come in the games, and on offense, he's pretty good at identifying these blitzes and these simulated pressures, because that was very tricky, and I think it's instructive, and it might have even been intentional. There was a practice a couple back with pads where I made a remark to some of the guys around me. If they ran 60 plays, there was at least 56 blitzes.
Yeah, I heard that.
Because it was almost every single play you were counting the guys, and I'm like, wait a minute, like the rush is getting in on Tua, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, here we go with the offensive line again. But then you count the rushers. And you're like, they brought 6 this time. They brought 5 this time. This time it was a 0. So
that was definitely a coaching decision, because they wanted to see how these guys blitz, but they also wanted to bum rush the offensive protection and the skills to see how everybody responds. It was definitely a decision. Nothing and then all out, so the shock value.
And it was a great moment today on 3rd and 2. They're playing a situation, and the Dolphins were down by 2, and Tua was driving them from the 35-yard line with a minute left to try to kick the game-winning field goal. Yeah. And they're 43 yards out, and it's 3rd and 2, and the Dolphin defense, Anthony Weaver, calls a 0 blitz. And you could see that they sent 2 guys through the A gap, and Aaron Brewer picked up the right guy. Tua throws the slant to Waddle. Waddle scores from 43 yards out on
Yeah, I
Jalen
read that.
Ramsey.
That's awesome. That's a good recap, though. I'm glad I got to hear it.
And it was fun to see because you could see the orchestration from the snap to the throw to the catch to the score. So it was good orchestration, and it was better to see that Aaron Brewer could handle basically a bum rusher of the A gaps, both of them. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign that your center's already picking up the protections and it's calling them correctly, allowing your passer to get the ball off on important downs. So that's a great start, and I really can't wait for these Atlanta Falcon practices that kick off next Tuesday.
I want to do one of those. What are they? The Elon Musk chips, and put it in your head so I could see through your eyes, dude. That's some great stuff, man. It really gives you an advantage, a huge advantage to see that stuff as it's developed.
Yeah, my favorite part of joint practices is reading parts of the opposing team's media saying, "Oh, they look pretty good today," and then you hear the Dolphin media and they're like, "Oh, they look pretty good today." So if both teams look pretty good, then nobody did, right? My favorite was a couple of years ago when I went out and most of us went out and said the Dolphins annihilated the Eagles, and that was the year that the Eagles made the Super Bowl. So that was a pretty good team. And I said, look, the Dolphins had a day today against the Eagles. It was total annihilation. And it did have a controlled scrimmage. Like they had, the hit, and it was ones versus ones. And each team had 2 series, and the final score was 10-0 Miami. So that was a pretty successful scrimmage.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and then the Eagle faithful came out, or the Eagle media came out and said, yeah, the Dolphins really kicked the crap out of the Eagles. But then I was reminded Eagle fans and Eagle media just hate everything at all times. So
they throw stuff at their own players, man. I think didn't they pelt Santa Claus one year or something? They're rough over there. Brotherly love, or maybe the opposite. That's great stuff. So, all right. So my only thing with Brewer, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your reports, and among others, I respect a bunch of people. Is his ability to deal with power. He gets overwhelmed by power. And as I spoke in the past, he sometimes, when he has to do the double, if the guy's powerful enough and the guard next to him is not strong enough, he gets attached. He's very smart. He's very reactive. He's got great agility. He's got great physicality. So, I mean, if we can keep him doing what he's got to do, his strengths, I think it will be a good year for us. My concern is when you get to the red zone and you got, everything's pinned in front of you, and then he's forced to deal with the strength. But we'll see. It's if Greer nails this one, it's big. I mean, if he can get this guy to play like we need and be an accentuation piece for the zone stretch and everything else, it is a big feather in his cap. Because last year, Connor and Hunt together had some beautiful blocks. I mean, it was, to me, it's like a relationship. You can see how 2 guys work with each other. And Hunt and Connor, man, they had as good a chemistry as Tua and Hill. And so it'll be very interesting to see. And I really think Jones next to him is a better support for Brewer because of his size. He doesn't get bull rushed. He is a powerful guy. If you got to double with him, you're not going to have to give as much help, where Eichenberg, he kind of lacks that. So I'm very excited. I hope it plays out right. And I think that right guard pick is going to be big. Got a lot out of it. Offensive side of football is going to be a big piece of the puzzle. And I do feel that Alf brings some clarity to certain parts that you saw when you went through this thing. A long way to go. And we talked after. He's like, scrimmages on Saturday. That's where we're going to get real clarity. And then we're going to get preseason games. And then we're going to get to see the real thing for ourselves. So this was a huge help for me to kind of understand what's going on. Obviously you see reports and you see somebody say something and it's said 3 or 4 times, but different people, there's a tendency to be true. But then there's someone who has one opinion, has another, and you just got to kind of sift through this stuff to make your own evaluation. But it was great to have him on. Hope you enjoyed. Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around